We are in the laws of kindness, fasting, believe it or not. You can eat though. Chapter 2. So we learned that one fasts as a community or an individual when there are trials and tribulations, like a drought. As a matter of fact, the discourse we're learning in the morning, the Reb Shimon Bar Yochai did something very unique and different, saying words of Torah rather than, yeah. Okay, so one should fast and sound trumpets in the following situations of communal distress, because of the distress that the enemies of the Jews cause the Jews, right? Oops. All righty. So because of the passage of armed force, because of a plague, because of wild animal on the rampage, because of various species of locusts, because of black blight and the yellow blight, plagues, right? Because of falling buildings, because of an epidemic, because of loss of the source of sustenance, and because of rain or the lack of it, right? Those are reasons to have communal fasting, right? A city afflicted by any of these difficulties should fast and sound trumpets until the difficulty passes. The inhabitants of the surrounding area should fast, but should not sound the trumpets. They should, however, ask mercy on their brethren's behalf. In other words, they don't have the problem, but since they're around the area, they should. We do not cry out to God or sound trumpets on the Sabbath, as we have explained, right? Except in the case of distress over the loss of the source of sustenance. In this instance, we cry out to God even on Shabbos, but we do not sound the trumpets for this reason on Shabbos. What is meant to stress the enemies of the Jews cause the Jews cause the Jews. When Gentiles come to wage war against Jews, to impose attacks upon them, to take land away from them, or to pass a decree restricting the observance of their faith. Even concerning merely a slight mitzvah, we should fast and sound trumpets until God shows mercy. All the surrounding cities should fast, but they should not sound the trumpets unless they are doing so to gather the people together to come to their aid. What is meant to passage of the armed force, of an armed force? This applies even to an armed force that has peaceful intentions. For example, Gentiles are waging war against other Gentiles, and they passed a Jewish settlement. Although they are not at war with the Jews, they are still considered a time of distress for which we should fast, as implied by the blessing. And a sword will not pass through your land. From this, it can be understood that seeing war is itself a sign of distress. Yeah, so don't watch the news. You watch the news, you might have to fast. Uh, Number 5, because of a plague, what it constitutes a plague. When 3 people die in 3 consecutive days in a city of 500 male inhabitants, this is considered to be a plague. And
by that definition, COVID was never a plague because the numbers were not sufficient.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. So less than 1% died. But that's a male population, not of the complete population, right?
This is only about males.
Now, it doesn't mean only males that died, but how do you, numbers were done by census of male because those went to the army, right? Or gave half a shekel, right? So, that's where you have an amount. So it'll be 500 females it's a bigger population, right? If these many people die in one day or in 4 days, it's not considered a plague. It is a city of 1,000 male inhabitants and 6 people die, or 3 consecutive days is considered to be a plague. If these many people die in one day or in 4 days, it's not considered a plague. Similarly, the ratio should be followed with regard to the cities, regardless of the size. So a plague is something that you're plagued with, meaning there's a consistency. The minimum consistency is 3 days. If it's in one day, that's not called a plague. It's something that happened, obviously, but then you don't go through this procedure. Women of whichever old men are no longer at work are not included in the census of in this context. Yeah, those are military service. Uh, since they're military, so they're stronger. They have a stronger constitution. So therefore, that's when we know it's a plague, right? If it's those with weaker constitution, so then it's not considered a plague. That's the point over here. Okay, interesting. Okay, number 6. If there is a plague in Eretz Israel, the Jews in the diaspora should fast on on its inhabitants' behalf. If there's a plague in one country and caravans frequently travel from it to another country, they should both fast, even if they are distant from each other, because they're connected with each other. So we're all connected with Israel, so therefore, if there's a plague there, but also the other countries, if there's caravans that go of doing trade and so on and so forth. We do not fast because of wild animal unless it is on a rampage. What is implied? If it is seen in a city during the day, it is on a rampage. Should it be seen in the field during the day, encounter 2 men and not flee from them, it is not a rampage. If the field was close to a swamp and it saw 2 men and pursued them, then that's on a rampage. If it did not pursue them, it's on a rampage. If it was not in a swamp, even if it pursued them, it's not considered to be on a rampage unless it slew both of them and ate only one. However, it ate both of them in a swamp. It's not considered to be a rampage. But this is its place. This is a place that slew them because it was hungry, not because it's not a rampage. Aha. Okay. I have to stop over here. All right, folks. Thank you very much. An amazing, great day.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good.